Today we're going to talk about the real reason you can't quit alcohol. And I know on this channel we talk a lot about chemical dependency, but that is not the number one reason we're going to talk about today. We're actually going to go back to the roots before we became chemically dependent and talk about why we can't quit. What is it that crosses you over from the line of just a normal drinker into a straight up alcoholic, and what makes you cross over from there to not being able to stop? Why does it seem like everything you try isn't working? Why does it seem like everything you do or go to or any type of help you get just doesn't work at all, and you find yourself drinking again and again, apologizing to yourself and others, wondering why you found yourself in this mess yet again? So today we're talking about the number one real reason you can't quit alcohol. Terry, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and I'm trying. Hold on one second. I'm trying to see why this isn't starting. But yeah. Oh, there we are. Sorry about that. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Good to see you. And we have lots of regulars here. That's great. And for me, why did I start drinking? This was a big question for me. When it's especially right when I was trying to quit, when I did quit, after I stopped drinking, I was like, why do I drink? Why do I want to drink? That's a big question, and I see that so many times. I've been to thousands of meetings. I've talked to thousands of active alcoholics, recovering alcoholics, talked to many of them, and so many of them, there's so many different reasons, and a lot of them are, they had lots of trauma in their childhood, or many times that is really a common reason why. For me, I thought about my childhood, and I was like, I had a normal upbringing, pretty much. I mean, is any family really normal? No, but pretty much, I had a mom, a dad, a brother, a dog, a cat, lived in a middle class neighborhood, went to school, all those things. My father did have chemical dependency. He was an alcoholic. And my brother, same thing, but it wasn't like it was the family destroying, destructive kind. They were kind of hiders, really. But so I guess you could argue whether that was an impact on me or not. But whether it was or not, I really couldn't come up with a reason why that I became an alcoholic. And I was reading up on this subject because what prompted me to come up with this topic was I was really thinking about what is the reason why I may have I may have become an alcoholic, and what was it? What was a common theme throughout my drinking career? And I really thought about it, and I had to go back to the roots of the beginnings of why I drank. In doing this, I did some research, and there's a journal of neuroscience, and they published an article in 2008, and it talks about alcohol and what alcohol does for us and does to us. And one of the things they were talking about is that alcohol has the ability to alter our emotional states. So what it does when you drink is it induces euphoria, relaxation. It knocks away inhibitions, and one thing that it reduces is stress and anxiety. And now I'm telling you stuff you guys probably already know, right? I mean, yeah, I agree with that. It made me feel good. And even that first time when I was 11 years old and my brother had a party because my parents were gone, and that was like the first memory of me having a drink, it did that. All my brother's friends were there. They're like 4 years older. I was intimidated by all these older kids around, and but I drank that beer or two or whatever it was, and my inhibitions went away, and I felt good. It made me feel good. It made me happy, and I remembered that. Now, did I blow into alcoholism right away? No, no, not at all. But in fact, I don't think I really drank much for a few years until maybe high school or so, when it started to become a little bit more common. But but that's the feeling that I would get. It made me feel good, and it's the thing about alcohol is that it does it quickly. You take that drink and boom. Or, when I was in my active addiction, I take that drink and I get that feeling of euphoria. Even if it was only for a short time, I get that feeling of euphoria, and it 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 was great. And that's what I was chasing. You know, it also alcohol will also affect you depending on what's going on in your life. So now I'm talking about how it made me feel good. Now, for others, alcohol definitely helps them have a maybe calm down. It helps calm down that anxiety. Like, let's say you had a bad day at work, you had a fight with your spouse, something like that, some negative thing that happens. And I've done that too, where, rough day at work, I need a drink. And that's what I'd do. And I'd go and get a drink, and it helped reduce that anxiety. Or I've got a huge presentation to do tomorrow, and I'm so nervous. Maybe a couple drinks will help. And that was kind of what I would feel as well. So it really depends on our situation. We might use it to feel good because we're going out and we're going to go out with some friends, and um, it's it's soothing. It helps lubricate the situation. It might reduce stress because we had that stressful situation. Or maybe you're going to a party and you hate parties, you hate small talk. That's me. I hate the small talk. I can't, talking to a stranger and getting to know them, and you're only going to talk to them for 5 minutes at the most. And that's kind of brings up anxiety, and alcohol will lubricate that. It makes me less fearful of what they might think about me, and things like that. Um, so there's really many different factors involved in this, and for me, what it was, the common denominator in all of my drinking career, whether it was when before I was chemically dependent, when I was becoming chemically dependent, after I was chemically dependent, all the way to the last day that I was drinking, is I liked it. I liked the feeling that alcohol gave me. And I tell you, if I drink again, I would probably like that feeling again. And that's where we have a big dilemma in our lives is alcohol makes us feel good, so it becomes an answer for us. Now, as I was going through my drinking career before, I spent a lot of decades just kind of drinking and managing life, and I don't really believe that I was an alcoholic until quite a few decades after my first drink. But alcohol was a lubricant, and it did make me feel good throughout my whole career, and I started to look forward to it. And as drinking progressed, I was trying to chase that feeling a little more. Maybe life got a little bit more complicated, things got a little more difficult. I might have used it um, to calm down the stress a little more often. And then at the same time, I used it also to enjoy my situations. I tell you, one of my most um, looked forward to events every year was Wine Passport in the wine country. 42 wineries would close to the public. You get tickets, you go and you drink wine at all these different wineries. They have food that's themed, and they have a band playing, and it was fun. I really looked forward to that. One time we even rented a bus. So we had like 25 people on the bus and all drinking wine. It was fun. And I look back on that situation, and yeah, it was a drunk fest, but it was fun. I looked forward to that. I tried to chase that for years after that, to chase that feeling of camaraderie with the friends and things like that. And it was, I found it more difficult to chase that feeling as I went on in my addiction. And once I got to the point of, um, full chemical dependency, it became necessary to drink. So I was fighting this feeling of trying to get back up to just a normal level, because when I wasn't drinking, I felt like crap. And so I had to have that drink to get to the normal level. But at the same time, I was trying to chase that feel good feeling. I mean, sure, I'd have that first couple of drinks and I'd get a little bit of burst of euphoria, but then it would go away quickly. So I'd have to drink more. And this is one of the challenges, the biggest challenge for me in stopping drinking is it made me feel good. But at the same time, I started to get these negative consequences with drinking. And so it was just kind of things were just bouncing off of each other here. I was feeling good, yet these negative consequences were happening. And I'm sure many of you can relate to the normal consequences, and maybe some of you can't. Maybe you didn't have these consequences. I'm talking things like legal or monetary or whatever. But maybe it's just you don't like the way your life is going. For me, besides those obvious consequences, my other ones were just I was sitting around doing nothing. I was watching bad TV, drinking, thinking, this is what life's all about. Didn't it really wasn't a very exciting life. I thought it was, but it wasn't at all. And I was afraid to stop. I knew alcohol made me feel good, and I knew that stopping, because every time I stopped, that night and the next morning I felt like crap. I knew I was going to feel worse and worse as the day went on. I'd probably, like many of you, I'd done a ton of research on the websites and realized that alcohol withdrawal is horrible and it is dangerous. And I don't want to go through it because every time I've tried to go through it, it's terrible. And what's my answer? Drink more. Just keep it going. Maybe I'll drink a little less this time. I'll only have 5 or 6 throughout the day. I'll have one drink every 3, 4 hours. I'd try that. It would never work. Never. And that was the dilemma. I couldn't quit. Because that feeling, alcohol made me feel good. And like I've already said, it made me feel good till the very last day. I've talked to a lot of people that is not the case that they had. Alcohol stopped working for them. I've heard that a lot. And they were chasing that same feeling I was. Maybe they were further along in their addiction than I was. I don't know. But it never stopped working for me as far as the feeling that I would get right away. Now that feeling wouldn't last very long, but that was kind of how it went for me. So, Marcus, what are your thoughts on just how did it make you feel? Did it make you feel good all the time? Maybe towards the
Um,
end, it wasn't working for you. It worked
yeah,
for me, that's for
so
sure.
for me, it did work in the beginning a little bit. It did help with anxiety and everything, but what I didn't realize is it was actually making it worse in the long run, which it got bad pretty quickly. Like I knew at the time where I really had a hard time quitting and I realized I needed to quit, it was kind of mounting up to where it wasn't doing what it used to do, right? So it would help me in social situations, but then I'd have too much and I would just, have a serious problem where I wouldn't stop. And so it was very difficult. I think you might need to turn your speakers down. I'm getting a little feedback. And it wasn't helpful towards the middle or end. It wasn't enjoyable. I didn't like that I had to drink. Were there times when it was fun, rip roaring, yay, great? Sure, absolutely. But that didn't last long. That wasn't my overall experience. If I look back at my drinking and I say, was it super fun? Did I go on the wine bus? I mean, it was okay. I liked having different varieties of things to drink. Now that I'm sober, I realize I can get that with anything. I mean, if you, they got all kinds of mocktails and stuff like that now you can try. And a lot of the mocktails are just fruity drinks. They don't mimic alcohol at all, but they are interesting. Makes it better than just water and coffee and things like that. So I did miss that. As far as the fun drinking life, I didn't really experience that. I didn't go to college, so I didn't, go to frats and drink. I didn't have much of a social life outside of family, so I didn't really do much of that. Most of my alcoholism was at home, depressing. I was a depressed alcoholic. I got depressed all the time, and I didn't realize that the alcohol was what was depressing me. I didn't realize that. And so, it was a difficult thing, and it wasn't, like Carl says, it isn't fun anymore. Yeah, towards the end, it was not fun. And even in the beginning, I remember I liked friends that I had that we would go drink ales with. But the problem was, I remember when I got sober, I had a friend I used to drink with, if I can keep these earphones in my ear. I had a friend I used to drink with, and later after I got sober, he had told me, I had no idea how much you drank before you got to our lunch. Because I would have 8 or 9 beers before we got to lunch, and he had no idea. He just thought, oh, he's showing up and having as many as me. That wasn't fun. I thought I was some kind of drinking king, but, who wants to be the king of that? That didn't really work well for me. So it was early on where it became depressing. And I think a lot of people probably resonate to that, where it's like, yeah, I'm depressed. I drink at home. It's not fun. It's not like the beer commercials. The pretty girls and guys don't come up and hit on me because I have a glass of whatever they're touting. That wasn't the case. And even in my family, drinking in my family wasn't fun. It always ended with a fight outside. My uncles would fight. My other family would fight, and it'd just be arguments. It wasn't a fun, pleasant experience, but it was something that society led me to want to do. And when I found out it helped anxiety, that really helped. And unfortunately, why didn't someone teach me, hey, anxiety is because of X, Y, and Z? That's why you have anxiety. It'll dissipate. No one taught me that, so, it was like, okay, this is the best I got, and so it was not super fun, which I think is different because, Terry has these experiences where it was fun. He did enjoy it. And I had some times where I did, but it usually ended in too much. Maybe that was because I didn't eat when I drank. Like when I would go in social situations, I grew up with an eating issue. I never ate. I would just, basically not eat all day and feel terrible until I had to eat. And I had trouble eating in front of people as well, and that's where I did some of my social drinking where it would be fun. And because I didn't eat, it didn't take very much for me to get drunk, which sucked. So yeah, I think the different types there, and maybe share what kind you are, what it's like for you in the comments. Are you one that sits at home and it's not very pleasant, or are you loving it, wondering, hey, where's it? What am I going to have? What kind of life am I going to have when I stop drinking? For me, it was more, you're taking away the one thing that works. I guess they would call it in psychology self-medicating, which I despise that term because alcohol is not medicine. It is nothing even close to it. I think that's an old archaic thing, like how Coca-Cola used to be the headache medicine. It's like you got to look at these things and say, is this actually helping? Do I enjoy this? And what am I going to miss? And it's funny because I mounted all these things I was going to miss when I got sober. I would say the only thing I really miss is not having the variety, although that variety is here now, so there you go. And the variety is in different things to drink. I don't miss getting drunk. I don't miss alcohol beverages. It doesn't even cross my mind. Someone had said, they were sober for 4 years, had a craving over the weekend, a part in my brain triggered remembering the good feeling it gave me. Yes, and the good feeling of, dampening the bad feeling. I would say for a lot of people, it's more removing the bad feeling and the things you don't want than it is adding good stuff, right? Because it really does take away the things you don't want. It takes away the inner voice that says you can't do that. It takes away the inner voice that says, oh, you're going to look like an idiot on the dance floor. And then you go out there and you probably do. Because everyone looks silly dancing, right? But you look at it and it's like, okay, all these things are taken away, but I'm acting as if alcohol is adding all this stuff to my life, and it's really not. And I think that's a difficult thing to look at because so much of our sobriety or lack of getting sober hinges on what we think alcohol is adding to our life. And I think if we really look at it, it's probably nothing. It added chemical dependency, misery, depression, false thoughts appearing real, a lot of things, but nothing good. So that was my take on it. I know a lot of people have different stories, but I was utterly depressed, and I did not enjoy it. I thought I did, but I didn't.
I felt okay as far as I was still really foggy, but mentally I was pretty happy because I had gotten through detox and I realized that I did not have to drink anymore. But at the same time, I had a lot of fear. It says I'm muted. He's
I
muted.
think we're good now.
Oh, can you hear me now? Um, Boy, I just said the most philosophical thing in the world, too, but I forgot what it was. Okay, what I was saying was that it was that um, I I had mentioned that at the end I liked the feeling. I liked the feeling alcohol gave me, but I was not having fun anymore. My life had whittled down to nothing. I'd gotten rid of all the friends, gotten rid of my job, gotten rid of my wife. Notice how I say I did this. This is what I caused from my drinking, and I had done a lot of damage in life, and but the alcohol may allowed me to feel good, and just for that fleeting moment, and that's where people have a real big problem quitting, or once they've quit, they really feel terrible, and they and they know that there's this alcohol right here calling your name. I'm going to get that feeling. Maybe I'll just have that one, and then I'll control my drinking again. And I've seen it many times. I did it myself many times, trying to chase that. And then I have that drink, and boom, I'm right back there because I'm chemically dependent. And I'm chemically dependent because it makes me feel good. Or is it the other way around? I don't know. Too much thinking here. But either way, this is what happened. Now, when we started today, I talked about why. Why did I become an alcoholic? It's I had that thought for a long time after I got sober, and I was trying to figure out because everybody has these reasons they became an alcoholic. Well, you know what I learned is I learned that I don't know why I became an alcoholic, other than the fact that I drank too much and I became chemically dependent. Other than that, I can't put my finger on it. I could go to a million psychologists and try to figure it all out. Why? It doesn't matter. All that matters is I need to not drink now. And that's it. Move forward in my life. And how do I get that feeling, that euphoric feeling now? I do other things in life. It's it's I don't know how to say this right, but um, I don't want I don't have that sudden euphoric feeling that alcohol gave me anymore, but I get it all the time through doing different activities, living a life that's much more productive without alcohol in it. I go hiking, I go biking, I spend time with my family, with my wife, go camping, go skiing, go biking. I do a lot of things. And now that doing all these physical activities may not be for everybody, but one thing that is important when you get sober is to find activities that you enjoy doing. Marcus has a different business, and that's what he does too, for enjoyment, or maybe we'd have to ask him. Sometimes he's maybe not, but that's business. But that's something he likes to do, and I know he likes to spend time with the family too. But that's what I do now for enjoyment, and it works. It works for me.
Absolutely. All right. I think, yeah, hopefully our audio was okay. We had one issue, but nothing too bad. We're trying to
All right.
fix it. I got all this equipment here. I got an earphone in. It's been interesting, to say the least. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. If you had, Terry, you want to talk about our course and also like what you're doing with the book and everything. I know you're creating some new videos and things for us.
So yeah, we have a program over at talksober.com that it's will help you get and stay sober. And if you're interested, or just go check it out. You can go check out our website over at talksober.com, and we have some. Our program it's a 30-day program, and we have videos and MP4s and letters and exercises and what to do day to day to help you stay sober. And we go through our experiences. This is something that both Marcus and I have developed, and we developed this because this is what we feel that we wish we had access to back when we were getting sober. It was a little bit difficult for us to get sober. We went the standard route with rehab, and after that, it was that staying sober that we found difficult. And this is a good transition for that. So go over there and check that out. You can also get a private sobriety call with Marcus and myself if you'd like, and you can click that button. And keep coming back to this show. We also have a Facebook group, and you just ask to join, and I'll check you out and make sure you're not some bot or something. And other than that, I'll let you in and can talk to other people that are also trying to stay sober. And yeah, thanks for watching, everyone.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for being here. Check out talksober.com for all that cool stuff.